about. Oh, we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, I think I've got a computer thing that's going on here that was probably lagging it up a storm. So apologies, folks. Welcome back in here. We are pre-gaming for Mile High Sports. Very excited to be doing what we're doing, and I'm looking forward to this Game 6 tonight. My name is Ryan Blackburn. I'm the host of the Pickaxe and Roll podcast here at Mile High Sports. I do a whole bunch of writing here. He is Zach Mikash, the site manager over at Denver Stiffs, and my good friend, good friend and good buddy who we've had plenty of years with. He's the first person that got me into sports writing and sports in the first place. So very excited as always to talk to my guy, Zach. How you doing, man?
Yeah, man. You know, we got to be coming up on like a decade now, Ryan. That's
think about it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Getting old. Getting old. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm excited. You know, we got Game 6 here, first elimination game of the series. So, you know, always the intensity always, of course, ramps up when you've got one team who is literally in a must-win situation. So, yeah, it's good night for basketball.
Must win is right. Game 5. I want to do a little quick recap of Game 5 and just kind of how we got to this point. First and foremost, Jamal Murray went off. Jamal Murray was the Jamal Murray game for Game 5 in this particular series. He hadn't played perfectly up until that moment, but really took over exactly when the Nuggets needed him to and dictated terms and put the Clippers back on their heels. And it was kind of a reset of the series at the beginning of Game 5, and the Nuggets clearly took momentum in that one. Just what was your, outside of maybe just Jamal Murray being awesome, what was your main takeaway from Game 5 and Denver being able to kind of reclaim back momentum in this series?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, Jamal is the big story there, but there's a lot of stories, a lot of guys playing like really well who have, you know, maybe they haven't got those contributions all around like they did in Game 5, because, you know, I mean, Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, Russell Westbrook is huge in the second quarter of that game. And that offset Nikola Jokic not really being much of a scorer. It still ends up with a triple-double. It just shows you how good the guy is when he has like a triple-double, and we're like, nah, not his best. But you know, that storyline, I think, is first and foremost, of course, the game that Jamal had, but secondly is how they look like a complete team, which, you know, I mean, Ryan, if you think about it, it's been a while since I think we've seen them look as a complete team. Even those last 3 games that they won in the playoffs, or not in the playoffs, sorry, in the regular season, they weren't, you know, there were still some things that was like, okay, it's a little bit clunky. They were playing a couple of teams who, you know, Houston on the last game of the season, yes, they play their starters, they had nothing to play for. It was, you know, so we haven't seen a team that played like they did in Game 5 for a bit, you know, probably all the way back to like that 8-game win streak mid-season. So that, I think, is a big story as well. And if they can carry that into Game 6 and beyond, then they're going to be as tough as anybody to beat in the playoffs.
I think so, man. Like they are rounding into form. It's something I described at the beginning of this. A boulder rolling downhill. A boulder rolling downhill is how I describe this Nuggets team. And kind of, they didn't really start off great, just in terms of the entire regular season. And there were a whole bunch of reasons to believe that Denver was going to struggle in these playoffs, given that, hey, you fire your coach, you fire your GM. There's a lot of strife. There's a lot of things that are being said about this team, this organization. How do you respond to the pressure? Who wants to be here in this moment? And Denver clearly has shown, like, they had an opportunity during that Game 4 after you get blown out in Game 3. Yeah. Do you kind of let it go? Do you let go of the rope in that situation? Do you care? How much of this do you actually want to be around for? And it's pretty clear that they have shown that they care in this moment. And I think that's a pretty cool thing, given all of the stuff that we've seen up until this point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's absolutely, I think nobody would be surprised if they were just kind of packed it in, right? But from winning 3 games at the end of the regular season to secure the 4 seed, from Michael Porter Jr. going out there and playing with one arm, from, you know, Nikola Jokic, even in that Game 3, they're getting blown out. You could see the passion in him on the bench, you know, pleading with his teammates, yelling at his teammates, basically to play better. They've 100% proven that, like, this is not by any means something that they're gonna let slip past them, or that they're just gonna give up just because, obviously they've had some turmoil organizationally. And I think that speaks volumes at how much of this is truly a veteran playoff tested team, right? They, at the end of the day, they understand how hard it is to get to this point, how hard it is to advance in the playoffs, how hard it is to win a title. They understand that they have an opportunity here to do all of that regardless of what's happened. And they're not going to let that opportunity slip, or at least not go down without a fight.
Not to this point. We'll see what happens. We'll see what it looks like over the course of this next couple of games, depending on how tonight goes. Let's kind of pivot to Game 6 then. Let's pivot to what this environment is going to look like. We've already seen the inflatable horse heads that are adorning the wall at Intuit Dome. Just a funny thing, of course, because they have, and we talked about this the last time we talked on this. They've done a pretty good job in terms of getting their fans and getting the city to kind of buy into the experience of being a Clippers fan. And I kind of think that building's going to be rocking tonight. I think that they're going to be doing everything they can to motivate their team to get back on the horse, so to say. What do you think you would expect from the Clippers tonight at home?
I really have a hard time reading this game because it is such sort of kind of a weird thing, right? So it's the LA crowd, right? But the Lakers just lost last night. Does that affect anything at all? Like, are more LA people going to be out to be like, okay, well, we're getting onto the Clippers bandwagon because they're still around, or are people going to be so funny, right? Like, you don't know what's going to happen there. James Harden, like, great player. Game 6, like, I was looking it up, I put it in my preview. He averages 20 points a game at 40% shooting in Game 6s in his career. Like, and he's not had a good Game 6 since he played in Houston. So how's he going to come out tonight? Kawhi Leonard, as phenomenal as he is as a player, like, there are times in this series where he's kind of disappeared in moments, and the Nuggets have taken advantage. So part of me really thinks, like, Denver's going to go in there and take care of business because they're the team that we've said, is kind of the resilient one, or is the team has shown like they're overcoming this adversity. They're willing to fight for this opportunity. But part of me also says, like, the Clippers are a really good team. And yeah, like you said, the Intuit Dome is awesome. And like, there's definitely going to be fans, more LA fans than Denver fans. We know that, right? So there's going to be a good crowd for that team. If they start getting momentum, they start making some big plays, I could see it definitely going their way too. It's just a really tough game to pick, which probably means it's coming down to, like, another last minute finish.
There've been 3 of those in this series. Denver's been able to get 2 of them, of course. Games 1, 2, and 4 were extremely close. Games 3 and 5 were blowouts one direction or the other. I know Game 5, the final score doesn't necessarily indicate blowout, but it was. It had a feeling of, Denver kind of messed around a little bit at the end, and it got back a little bit closer than it should have been. But just overall, this series has been great, and I do expect that the Nuggets and Clippers will be kind of in a bash them down, kind of grinded out fourth quarter by the end of this thing, and then see where it goes from here. Let's talk individual players then. We should probably start with the big guy, Nikola Jokic. What are you expecting from Nikola? Only 13 points. I heard this from our good friends over at First Things First on Fox Sports, that it was the tied for the lowest amount of points, or maybe second highest number of points, or second lowest, since his first ever playoff game as a player. Very rarely does he score this few points, and it's usually something that he amps up, but it was the other way this time. How do you think he will respond to that? What do you think the Clippers are going to try to do to him?
Well, I think, the Clippers are going to probably continue to play that game plan that they played pretty much all season, or all series, which is that they'll play him pretty much straight up with Zubats until he starts getting deep in the paint. Then they're going to send that double. Otherwise, when Zubats is out, which they're showing that they're willing to do, they're willing to pull Zubats out while Jokic is still on the floor. They're going to send that double a lot quicker, pretty much as soon as he gets the ball, certainly by the time he's at the elbow, right? I don't think they're going to change that. What I expect from him is a monster game. He is a 3-time MVP. He's a finals MVP. He is in the prime of his career, and he has shown time and time again that Nikola Jokic can take a game over and just flat out win it. And so if Nikola Jokic is everything he's cracked up to be, which I don't know who could doubt that at this point in his career, then this is a game 6 where he should come out and do everything he can to put the series away. He knows how hard it is to eliminate a team. I expect him to try and take the team on his shoulders. It might not be enough. Again, very good team on the other side, but I expect him to have a big game.
Here's kind of how I think I expect it will go down today. We'll see whether this actually pans out or not. I kind of think that they're going to do what they tried to do at the beginning of game 5, which was, hey, Zubac is going to be on Jokic, not going to junk anything up at all. And they're going to just assume that Jamal Murray is not going to get free the way that he got free in game 5. Maybe they assume that he is not going to travel in the same way that other stars might travel in this situation. He's been definitely worse on the road overall than he has been at home. But I do think that if Jamal goes for like 10 points in the first quarter, 7 points in the first quarter, it doesn't even have to be that much. If he starts to get going and Ty Lue starts to sense, I have to kind of change something up, I think they might rotate Zubac off of Jokic, put Harden there, try to get him out of the off-ball actions, and try to junk up the game with Jokic, but kind of just allow him to do what he wants to do because they're so worried about Murray. And that's the awesome thing about having 2 stars that can go off in a playoff environment is if you allow one to get one-on-one coverage or advantageous coverage, then it doesn't matter what you're doing to the other one. They can carry for a while. And so that's what Murray did in game 5. I kind of expect that to flip in game 6 as the Clippers try to put more pressure on Murray and allow some more advantageous situations for Joker.
Yeah, I think especially, save from one game this series, right? Like Jokic really hasn't exploded in terms of scoring, right? He was in game 4, he put up 36. Like that's a pretty good number. And he had that monster third quarter, right? Where he pretty much just took over the game and basically made sure that the Nuggets were going to have a chance to win that at the end. So I feel like they're very comfortable. The Clippers are very comfortable with allowing Jokic to kind of be a scorer, right? You always hear this debate about Jokic every time. Are you going to make him a scorer? Or are you going to make him a passer? And everybody's like, well, we'll let him be a scorer. And then he drops like 46 on you. And it's like, okay, well, that didn't work. And he hasn't had that game yet. So yeah, I could see for sure, like they're going to be comfortable with being like, all right, well, especially when Zubac is in, right? We're going to take him one-on-one for most of the time. And Zubac, he's a good defender. He's a big body. He's one of the tougher defenders on Jokic. Jokic's 4-time MVP, or 3-time MVP, should be a 5-time MVP. Let's be honest, but he's not going to have a problem with that. He's not going to have a problem with Zubac. There's only so much you can do. Ben Simmons is not going to stop Nikola Jokic when Zubac is on the bench. They've got too much firepower to at least keep them honest. If, like you said, if Murray is at least he doesn't have to score 43, but if at least he's getting some points, getting some buckets, and that leads you to like I said, you end up with these monster games for Jokic where he ends up putting up like 40 points and 12 rebounds and 11 assists or something like that. Like it's we haven't seen that game yet. It could definitely be tonight.
It would be great if it was. It makes things a lot simpler when you're getting 40 from somebody as opposed to 25. It allows for some adjustments all around there. Now, to be fair, Denver hasn't been at their best overall as a team when Jokic has had to put up those high point totals. So I kind of hope that the Clippers continue to double. I kind of hope that they continue to force other guys to beat them because as we kind of found out throughout this series, yeah, they are still capable. Like Michael Porter is still capable of making some big shots. Aaron Gordon still capable of making some big shots. Russell Westbrook even
fantastic.
Has been great. Like the role players and like the primary guys within the rotation, I'll say, have shown up in a big way. You still get a little bit queasy when Peyton Watson catches the ball on the perimeter or Jalen Pickett has to do something or DeAndre Jordan is out there. But in general, the other 6, Jokic, Murray, Porter, Gordon, Brown, and Westbrook have held up their end of the bargain so far in this series. They have been very good. So I hope that the Clippers double. I hope that they continue to try to junk things up and make things more complicated for themselves, and the Nuggets just continue to space and allow for Jokic to pick it apart.
Yeah, I mean, they it'll come down to guys got to hit their shots, right? Like Christian Brown's going to have to hit those threes and keep them honest. Russell Westbrook been great so far, pretty much from outside, but it's always a gamble, you know.
Yeah.
So those guys have to hit their shots. It would be great if Peyton Watson or Jalen Pickett could make a three in the 6 or 8 minutes that they're going to get to play or whatever. But if they bring doubles, you know what you're going to get out of Aaron Gordon. He's been great from outside. He's also going to be sitting in that dunker spot a lot of the time and being there for lobs. You know what Jamal Murray can do. Michael Porter Jr., like I said, despite only having one arm, like just testament to how great of a shooter that guy is. Like he's
Crazy.
Still an absolute threat from outside right now. You know, so like there's plenty of reason to believe, if you're going to send doubles at Jokic and say, okay, we're going to make Jokic a passer, that the Nuggets will just kill you that way too. But I still feel better. Like and I know what you're saying, like, right, when Jokic has had monster games, especially in the playoffs, monster scoring games, that's usually been like him trying to will the team to a victory and they end up falling short right near the end. I still feel better with him scoring 40 and being like, all right, as long as, one of the other 5 starters gets around 20 and two more get in the teens, easy win. Right? That's the way I'd like it to go.
Hey, I don't think anybody would blame you, man. Like it still feels really good. And like, it's one of those things where if you know that that's coming, if you know that he can deliver that every single time, it's really difficult to try to think about going anywhere else. I guess my perspective is you want him to be able to pick and choose his spots. You want him to be as efficient as possible. You want him to be generating good possessions down the floor every single time rather than having to feel like he has to put his head down and just go to work. That's the hope.
Sure.
But like you said, and like kind of the entire point of playing the Clippers is that they're not just going to let you do exactly what you want to do. You're going to get uncomfortable. You're going to have to adjust, and they're going to force you to kind of win with your B game. You're going to force you to do some different things. So it'll be interesting to see how the Nuggets handle it as a squad, and especially on the road where, you can win a close game, but you have to stay attached. You have to be close in that situation. You cannot let things get out of hand. A whole bunch of 10-2 runs are not going to go over well for the Nuggets in this game if they're allowing that on a consistent basis. So we'll see what it looks like. On the other side of the coin here, you've got the Clippers trying to score on Denver. What do you think is the key kind of in this particular matchup for Denver defensively against this Clippers squad that, like, they've got kind of a couple of different elements that you're looking at with Kawhi and James Harden and the different ways to approach that? What are you most concerned with?
I mean, first and foremost, obviously Kawhi Leonard. I mean, that game 2 is still fresh in my memory from Kawhi, and he is a guy who has shown that he can rise in the biggest moments as well. He's a 2-time Finals MVP. So keeping him contained and I think you've seen in this series that you can at times keep him contained. That's got to be your biggest focus, I think. And then it's, don't get killed by a role player. Don't let Norman Powell shoot open threes, right? Let Chris Dunn shoot all the threes he wants. But don't let Chris Dunn get to the basket, right? Get on the glass, especially on the defensive end. Keep Zubats off the offensive glass as much as possible. Try and keep him out of the lane, right? Don't let him just get a bunch of easy baby hooks and stuff like that 3 feet away from the basket. That's where I think if you just contain Kawhi Leonard and you don't let a role player go off for like 25, 30 on you, then like, hey, if James Harden wants to prove the narrative wrong and scores 30 plus, you probably can still come out on top of that as long as you're performing on the other end. So contain Kawhi, and then just don't get killed by some role players. Do the simple things, man. Like I said, keep them off the offensive glass. Keep your turnovers down. Like, you just got to go out there and execute. And that's what I think they just have to do. Like that's I think for me right now what I'm still waiting to see from this team in this big elimination game moment. Can you just go like suffocate this team and in their season and be done with it? And not make us go to a game 7 where we're going to get up 20 points in the second half and then end up losing.
Yeah, hey, that would be great. Don't do that, guys. Come on now. Let's have some maturity. Let's have some composure here. Absolutely. I think that so it's funny. David Adelman said that a lot. I think the players have said that a lot over the course of these last couple days. They know that game 5 wasn't the end of the series. They know that they still have to win another one. They also know that you can't just rely on game 7. They've now had two separate times, or at least Jokic and Murray have had two separate times where they have been in like the winners of game 5 of a series that was 2-2. They go up 3-2 and then they lose the series because they lose game 6 and then game 7 at home. So they have been in this situation before. They understand how important it is. They've won game 6s before on the road. So it's not like they can't do that either. It's just going to be about being willing and able to do those hard things and be physical. And I'm looking at Christian Brown in that situation. I'm looking at him trying to bother James Harden and
Yeah.
even Kawhi Leonard when he has to switch on to him. Can you bother those guys? Can you get them off of their spot? Will you allow them to just get to the free throw line? Very curious to see how he defends. And is this going to be a situation where he's in foul trouble for much of this game? That's going to be something that I watch. If Harden can get to the free throw line and get himself going there, then it allows the step back opportunities. It allows the open floaters, the wide open layups, and then the dump off passes to Zubac and kick out passes to everybody else. So can you cut the head off of the snake? Can you put yourself into a situation where if you're Christian Brown, you are playing physical enough to bother him, but not so physical that you're fouling him? It's such a tough question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you want to, if he does get into foul trouble, like this is, we haven't got a lot of contributions out of the bench, but this is again, I've said it since the beginning of the series. I continue to say it, like Peyton Watson is a guy who you can put on James Harden and at least feel like you're going to make him uncomfortable. Right.
Yeah.
So that's something that, hey, if Christian gets in foul trouble, like if James Harden is on the floor, I want Christian Brown or Peyton Watson on the floor at all times, and I want one of those guys defend him. I want Aaron Gordon clinging to Kawhi Leonard, pretty much the entire time. So I'd match their minutes. Let's win this game 92-89, right? Instead of like 112-109 or 120 plus. Game 5 was kind of the first game we saw like the offenses really, especially the Nuggets, right? They really got a chance to get out and run and score, and it was fun. It was more like a regular season game. The rest of the series, it's been much more like your typical playoffs. Everything's slowing down. Everything's a grind. Like let's grind them into dust tonight, right? Like make it hard. If we're gonna lose, let's lose, like I said, 92-89 or something like that, rather than letting them score.
I think it's fair. What I will say is that in the first kind of offensive game of the series, the Nuggets were the ones to kind of take it. So it is interesting kind of because you would want, I think, to play that kind of style. And I think if you're looking for a battle of tough twos, you've got Jokic and Murray versus Kawhi and James Harden. I think that when you say it like that, it doesn't necessarily sound that appealing either. So I think that Denver, to me, the most important thing, especially offensively, is just avoid the turnovers. Do not allow them to go on runs created by your mistakes.
Right.
If you can avoid that and just get shots up, you're going to get offensive rebounds. You're going to get to the free throw line. You're going to make shots. You just have to make sure to get them up on a consistent basis. So we'll see whether they can avoid those turnovers. I do think that that's a factor. And then could they force the Clippers into some turnovers? Could they force them to make be the team that makes mistakes, draw some charges? Like who'd have thunk it? Drawing charges in the modern NBA. Wow, that would be crazy. But I mean, maybe they can do it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to, they got to go out and execute. Is basically what it comes down to. This is like we've been saying. It's an elimination game. You don't want to put yourself in a game 7. You want this to be like the Phoenix Sun series on your finals run, where it was 2-2. Everybody was kind of wondering, like, are you going to be able to get over the hump with this team? And then you went out and you won the next 2 games, and there was no doubt about it. Do that. Don't do what you did with the Timberwolves, or like you mentioned way back in the day with against the Portland Trailblazers. And interestingly enough, in the history of the Jokic Murray Nuggets in the playoffs, whichever team has been up 3-2 going into game 6 has actually more often than not ended up losing the series. So it's now some of that's because the Nuggets came back 3-1 a couple times, but it just goes to show like it certainly can still go south on the Nuggets. Like you said, game 5 was not the end of the series. So they got to come out and execute, whether they want to grind them into dust on defense, or they want to try and beat them 135 to 134. Either way, you got to execute that game plan tonight and go back to Denver thinking about Oklahoma City.
Well, it looks like Detroit and New York are still kind of locked up in their tussle. They are. Detroit has now taken the lead over there. They are very close to kind of completing the comeback that they had and winning this game and forcing a game 7. We'll go for just a couple more minutes here and just do predictions. I'll say, like, let's do this thing. Let's give a final prediction for game 6. How do you see this matchup between the Nuggets and Clippers panning out?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be optimistic here this time. I've been on the roller coaster. I was up, then I was down. Now I'm back up. I think they get it done. I think the Nuggets. I think Nikola Jokic is going to show everybody exactly why he's the best player on earth. I think that the Nuggets understand that this is that they should treat this like a must-win game for them because they don't want to have happen to them what happened in the last season. And I think they end up winning something like a 105-101. That's what I'll call it.
105-101 would be great. I think that Denver's going to win too. If you recall, the last time we did this together, you and I was like, I think that Denver's probably going to lose by 15 or 20 or so.
And I was optimistic.
Yeah, that was optimistic at that point. It was a 34-point blowout loss. I think Denver wins. I think that they have shown some maturity. They have shown some drive, and they've matched the intensity for this moment in a way that the Clippers just haven't yet. They still have the capability where they could. They've got a whole bunch of veterans, guys who know and understand what this moment is about and should be able to perform in this situation. We will see if they actually do, but I kind of trust Jokic. I kind of just trust Denver's group to play the right way. And if they get any contributions from outside of that immediate mix, then it's just gravy on the side. So we'll see what happens with it, but I think I've got the Nuggets. I will say 112-105.
Fair enough. I like it. Yeah. It's like I said, I think they've got what it takes. Fingers crossed, and like I said, hopefully we'll be talking next about Oklahoma City.
Well, for what it's worth, folks, really appreciate you hopping in and hanging out with us here at Mile High Sports. Whatever happens, I think that there will be some watch parties going forward at number 38. So you're going to want to stay tuned. You're going to want to check in on our schedule over there. Come by, check out the bar, check out the studio space that we have at Mile High at number 38 for those guys. Always great to be, whether it's out on the patio and on the stage, delivering some of that, or if it's back in the studio space inside. A lot of fun to be over there. You've got some great deals, some great Mile High Sports branded beers as well. $15 on select pitchers and an opportunity to win some paraphernalia, if you will. Should be a lot of fun. But for what it's worth, going to be an interesting time. Really excited to see what happens here. He is Zach Mikash. I'm Ryan Blackburn. Thank you for tuning in to this pregame show. Good luck to the Nuggets tonight. We'll talk to you guys very soon.